This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Period 3. Working in the field. Step 35. Learn the 8 wastes and 5S. Earlier, I mentioned the 8 wastes of construction that a supervisor must know. A good way to memorize them is to use the acronym DOWNTIME. They are as follows. The 8 wastes. Defects. Waste caused by rework, scrap, incorrect, and/or insufficient information. Overproduction. Waste caused by making more than is required or more than is required right now. Waiting. Waste caused by wasted time waiting for the next process step to occur. Non-utilized talent. Waste caused by failure to tap into the knowledge and expertise available in the organization. Transportation. Waste caused by unnecessary movement of products and materials. Inventory. Waste caused by products or materials sitting on the project site, not being used or installed. Motion. Waste caused by excess movement by people, such as walking around and being on treasure hunts. Extra processing. Waste caused by working something over more than once or having waste in the value stream. Once your eyes are opened to waste, it becomes an annoyance that is difficult to ignore. You and everyone else will be motivated to take incremental steps to remove the 8 wastes along with extenuating problems. You can then begin a lean idea system or a continuous improvement system to change the project for the better. Another system you can use is the previously mentioned 5S, the lean system of organization that sets up work environments for success so that you can see what you need to see, know what you need to know, and do what you need to do to eliminate waste and create stable environments. I was on a project where 5S and continuous improvement systems were implemented. I observed that note cards were given to every worker on the project to carry that included the 8 wastes on one side and the 5S steps on the other, which were topics of discussion in the morning huddles. Afterwards, every worker and foreman was encouraged and contractually required to spend 20 to 25 minutes 5S'ing their areas for the purpose of preparing their day and eliminating the 8 wastes in construction. Crews would remove unneeded materials, sweep, wipe down, and shine the cleaned areas, straighten and sort tools, and standardize systems to make it easier on the workers and the foremen during a 20 to 25-minute daily crew preparation huddle where PTPs were filled out, job site areas were walked, and work was made ready for the day. Good habits begin with 5S'ing and the identification or removal of the 8 wastes. Every worker on site should be able to identify the 8 wastes as they're working, to let the waste they see anger or annoy them, and then be able to make incremental improvements on the project site daily to remove those 8 wastes from their work. When this is done, productivity will increase, throughput rates will quicken, and morale will improve. This can be reinforced in morning huddles, at orientations, and in standard meetings. Once the foremen of the workers become familiar with the system, it really becomes a remarkably self-sustaining environment of cleanliness, organization, and safety, which enables all other lean efforts on the project site. Create and print cards for 5S and the 8 wastes and distribute them to all workers for discussion in the morning huddle. Pay for worker huddles in the work orders and the 25 minutes for all crews to prepare their day and 5S their areas. Create a continuous improvement system using Paul Akers' 2-second lean method, and collect videos and reward people for showcasing these videos on a monthly basis. If you can find a way to incentivize the learning and implementation of 5S and eliminate or remove the 8 wastes on your project site, you will be able to build a culture where continuous improvement is a part of doing the work instead of a separate process. For more information on this system, read 2-Second Lean by Paul Akers. Step 36. Develop your battle perch. Every superintendent has to have a battle perch on the project site. This is a place where he or she can overlook the project and notice the energy of the team, the flow of work, and trends with the project site. All great generals in history had something like this from an elevated position to observe the battleground, and we need that same thing today in construction. Quote, "Every superintendent should have a place to overlook the project and reflect." I remember a superintendent who used to climb the tower crane on his project in order to get a sense of the health and stability of the project. Each day, he would climb up to the top of the tower crane and just watch for about a half an hour to an hour every day. He would watch for energy, flow, and safety issues. While up there, he sent out assignments and observed things that needed to be done on the project site from a high level. Every superintendent should have an elevated place for reflection, whether on top of a trailer, on an existing building, or on top of a crane. It is well worth the money and time to design and set up a perch because being able to observe current conditions from a high level is crucial to properly leading the project. Find your battleground perch, design it, use it, and reflect on things that would need to be done to make your project remarkable. If you do this, you will always see what you need to see. It is easier to anticipate potential problems, and you will be able to intuitively know how the project is doing and make course corrections. Step 37. Actively practice feedback and accountability. Anyone who wants to be a leader in construction needs to practice feedback and accountability. Providing feedback in the moment is not an easy thing to do. Most of the time, we rely on getting angry to trigger a vocal reaction. This is common in the construction industry. Superintendents get pushed, feel defensive, feel the need to say something, and then get angry, which finally enables them to speak up and say what they need to say. But by that time, it is too late, and his or her influence has likely been lost. Quote, "The ability to provide feedback and hold others accountable is a rare trait, but one of the single most important skills or abilities of a superintendent in construction." I remember a team meeting where people were reticent and did not want to engage with one another in healthy confrontation or feedback. We started an exercise where each person had to give a bit of feedback to the person next to them. For a week or two, this feedback was somewhat benign and not very effective. After one particularly trying week, the team was asked to go through this exercise again, and people began, somewhat nervously, to provide feedback to other people on the team. It was surprising to many on the team how easy it was to give feedback and how willing others were to receive it. Once that realization was had amongst the team, they more freely began to provide feedback and to hold each other accountable. People were also more willing to ask for feedback to be accountable to their team. They just needed to see that it was possible to intentionally practice. Superintendents get to do the things that nobody else wants to do. Superintendents manage people, conflict, and have to be open and honest 100% of the time without being mean or disrespectful. This takes courage and can come at a high price for the superintendent. He or she must intentionally practice and develop the skill of being able to openly and honestly provide calm and respectful feedback at any given moment. Also, it is a superintendent's job to hold others accountable in a positive and productive way. There can be no doubt that the superintendent must learn this skill immediately in order to be successful. Read the best books and take the best training regarding crucial conversations, radical candor, and accountability. Then intentionally practice what you learn in meetings. It will take quite some time to find your own style, but the point is to practice, and after years of practice, it will begin to become a habit. If you do this, you will be an indispensable leader. You will be counted on to do hard things, and you will be promoted to higher levels of leadership because you are willing to do the things that leaders at high levels must do. Step 38. Begin delegating. One of the key habits a superintendent needs to develop while in that role is the ability to delegate. Superintendents have historically had a difficult time delegating work so that they can become more effective. The habit and tendency has been to continue doing all the work themselves and to work too many hours. The switch from this to a more sustainable system of distributing and delegating tasks is what it will take to move into more senior roles as a superintendent. Quote, The 3 most important things for assistant superintendents and superintendents to learn are delegation, urgency, and visual communication. I remember talking to an assistant superintendent in charge of concrete and inquiring how his family was doing. He looked at me sheepishly and explained that he had not been as diligent in taking care of his family as he should. His excuse was somewhat typical as he explained that he had little time to do anything besides work. My first question to him was to ask what work he could delegate. After 5 minutes of contemplation, we were able to identify a minimum of 10 key things that could be successfully delegated to free up time in his work and personal schedule. He simply had not taken the time to think about the things that could be delegated. We should learn to manage our schedules in such a way that we can place everything we do into 4 categories: do now, plan, delegate, and stop doing. This is called the Eisenhower method. I would recommend this method to any superintendent who is developing their leader standard work and seeking to increase their effectiveness. The key is to practice delegating, and the intentional way to do this is for a superintendent to stop doing anything he or she doesn't have to do or should not do. A personal organization system can be of great benefit when using 4 categories to do, plan, delegate, and stop doing. At least 1/3 of an assistant superintendent's tasks and half of a superintendent's tasks can be delegated or canceled. If the paradigm switches from what can I do to what can only I do, then the superintendent will have greater effectiveness by successfully delegating. I have never seen a superintendent who was successful who also did not delegate. Delegation brings more hours at home, more planning on the job site, more personal and in-depth conversations, and raises the level of effectiveness at all levels. Step 39. Start sharing everything transparently. Superintendents are not transparent enough. Superintendents must switch into a mode of responsible transparency, which means copying others on emails, sharing information, communicating intentionally, and always telling customers and your own team about actual on-site situations. Problems should not be kept secret, issues should be shared, and plans should not remain only in the superintendent's head. A superintendent will benefit if he or she is an open book in all cases. Quote, "Transparency is a strategic advantage. It is the difference between an army of one and an army of many." I remember working with a superintendent who would not share things transparently. He would always keep problems to himself, not reach out for help, and when problems came up, he dealt with them alone. Most of the time, these problems became larger issues, which impacted the overall project schedule. It was painful and difficult to get information from him. Eventually, the project team began to look at him and his performance as a liability to the overall project success. Transparency is a communication tool. It is a way of thinking, a way of living, and there can be little trust without it. Non-transparent environments are environments without trust. They are environments where people deal with issues individually without the wisdom of a team. One of the 8 wastes of construction is not leveraging the wisdom or experience of the team. Non-transparent environments and non-transparent individuals perpetrate this waste and are responsible for most of the deviations in construction. Begin copying people on emails to share information openly, to share calendars, work goals, and family needs. When issues arise, practice telling the team immediately and asking them for their help. When situations arise and you form a plan, make your next step one of immediate communication to someone who can help you with your plan. Have documents and emails reviewed before they go out, and make this a sustainable habit that is intentionally practiced on a continual basis. If you do this, you will be one of the most trusted partners on the team. Your career will flourish in ways that you could not possibly imagine. You will not have to shoulder burdens and problems and issues and mistakes alone, but will do so with the strength of the team. You will have a better work-life balance, your stress will reduce, and you will have better insight to solving problems as you work through your career. Step 40. Start holding effective meetings. Every superintendent should be able to lead great meetings on the project site. Effective meetings are led by intentionally creating drama, thereby making it interesting to attend. The key for me is to make sure that I plan ahead of time, keep everyone's attention, and keep discussions pertinent to the people attending. A superintendent needs to focus on leading remarkable meetings for every level of the organization if he or she wants to be effective in the field. Reference the book Death by Meeting, a leadership fable about solving the most painful problem in business by Patrick Lencioni to learn how. Quote, "Leading great meetings is the way you communicate. It is not a way." I remember a time when trade partners of the research laboratory were giving us a hard time about the number of meetings we had. There was a carpenter who was in charge of doors and hardware on the project site who was really mean and negative about operational control. We had talks with his supervisor, and eventually, he started attending the meetings. We promised him that if he would engage and explain what he needed in those meetings, he would find value in them. In the beginning, he sat in the corner and did not participate much. But one day he spoke of something that he needed. It was immediately taken care of and increased the flow of his work in the field. After that, he became one of the most trusted trade partners on the site. In fact, he would do more than other contractors. At the end of that project, he said he didn't know if it was the best thing to have as many meetings as we did, but he very much agreed that they added value and helped maintain operational control. We have to remarkably run certain key meetings as field superintendents. We have to make sure we are prepared, keep people's attention and focus, and hold discussions pertinent to the group. We have to authoritatively command the meeting and be a leader who can be respected, garner collaboration, and win the trust of everybody attending. The Strategic Planning and Procurement Meeting. The purpose of the planning and procurement meeting is to enact long-term strategic planning where supervisors will update their master schedule, prepare make-ready schedules from pull plans, and ensure that they have procurement tracking to the right dates. This will be done with the project manager and the scheduler, if applicable. This meeting is also used to combine all items from all projects into the master schedule to make sure the CPM schedule or master plan is still relevant to the status and changes on the project. The agenda for this is as follows. Input delays and impacts. Analyze if there are any time impact analysis that need to be formatted and distributed to the owner. Update last week's activities. Update the status of all activities up to the current date. Updates must be accurate and precise. Check for missing logic. An effective schedule is effective when all needed sequences are detailed and properly logic tied. Make sure that the schedule is actually representing the amount of work it will take to finish to the end and that float paths are calculated accurately. If float paths are not calculated accurately, then the team will not be triggered to submit a time impact analysis. Update procurement. Updating any procurement system is critical. Procurement must be a scientific and artful approach. If we can get the materials on the project site, we can build it. The project manager and superintendent need to be on the same page with all material deliveries and all procurement. This means there might be a need to do the following. Flip through the drawings, look at the model, call certain contractors, value stream map the supply chain, and do a field walk as well as anything else that would allow you and the project manager to identify that procurement is coming at the right time. Analyze critical path. If you can analyze the critical path, you can know exactly what things have to be done during the month without delay. Take an opportunity to filter out the critical path and set priorities for the project. Check milestone alignment. All of your pull plans, make-ready schedules, 6-week and 3-week look-ahead schedules, weekly work plans, and day plans need to vertically align with all milestones on the project from the master plan and schedule. 3 to 12-week look-ahead review. The review of the next 3 to 12 weeks must ensure that everything is being made ready for information, equipment, manpower, materials, and safety preparation. Reminders for the weekly schedule updates are listed as follows. 1. Update status of JHA preparation. 2. Make sure all conditions of satisfaction are very detailed and tracked in the master schedule. 3. Update past week's activities. 4. Detail new 6 weeks in the schedule from pull plans. 5. Add in owner activities. 6. Add in pre-construction meetings. 7. Add in activity code descriptors. 8. Review material delivery dates. 9. Review LOE activities. 10. Ensure schedule log is correct. 11. Export to PDF. 12. Save to Bluebeam. 13. Check float path. 14. Format any TIAs. 15. Analyze make-ready schedules. 16. Plan for 90-day, 120-day, and long-term phase planning. 17. Export to PM software to tie to procurement log system. 18. Export XER, MPP, or native file CPM. 19. Review and/or enter in planning buffers. 20. Grade contractors for schedule update. 21. Provide monthly narrative. 22. Provide monthly summary update. 23. Review variance reports. 24. Review the critical path. 25. Review retained logic. 26. Analyze float. 27. Review risk mitigation plans. 28. Insert any new planning from either changes or new design packages or phases. Trade Partner Weekly Tactical. The purpose of the Trade Partner Weekly Tactical is to create the weekly work plan for the next week and to lead the project on a weekly tactical basis with all other trade partners on site. You will do this with the trade partner superintendents and foremen. The agenda for this meeting includes positive shoutouts. Begin with 2 to 4 positive comments to begin the meeting in an awesome way. Lightning round. The lightning round is described in Patrick Lencioni's book, Death by Meeting, a leadership fable about solving the most painful problem in business, and consists of a collection of bullet point agenda items obtained by going around the room and giving each person 30 seconds to make agenda additions for the meeting. The leader of the meeting then makes sure the most critical items are done within the allotted amount of time. General safety. Discuss safety as your number one value on the project site and within the team. Review TACT plan. Review the overall TACT plan to understand the progression of the project. Review last week. Review last week's progress and commitments and report on the % plan complete score and variances. Review current progress. Review current progress to ensure everything is on track and make any needed corrections. Create a weekly work plan. Create a weekly work plan with the trade partners that is 100% committed to and that can be executed on a daily basis in the field with all of the trade partners and last planners. Review key milestones. Review the key milestones of the project that will get people thinking about roadblocks. Review the key milestones of the project and make sure that there's alignment in your meeting. Review roadblocks. Review roadblocks on a visual map. Systematically remove them and make assignments. Review plus delta. Reflect with the team on the good parts of the meeting and what should be done differently in the future to make for a more remarkable meeting. Afternoon foreman huddle. The purpose of an afternoon foreman huddle is to plan the next day with all of the last planners who are on site. Make sure that the path to success for the next day is 100% clear and represented visually for the entire project. The agenda is as follows. Positive shout-out, lightning round, review roadblocks. How did we do yesterday and today? Check status of the weekly work plan. Discuss what winning looks like for today or tomorrow. Review the weekly work plan. Detail every portion of tomorrow's general plan for the foreman and superintendents. They should be communicated visually and represent an understanding of general items. What is the safety focus for tomorrow? Logistics. What is coming? When? Where will it go? It is key not to write anything on the board or allow any deliveries unless you know exactly where it will be staged. Inspections. Safety observations. Share what was found and whether the previous day's items are closed out. If not, crews should fix these before going to work. Drive them to closure. Ask if anyone needs permits and then point them to the person or location to get them immediately after the huddle. Example, soil disturbance, deep excavation, hot work, crane. Address weather for tomorrow. Review plus delta. Leave with the information in one location. Morning worker huddles. The purpose of the morning worker huddle is to create a social group with all the workers on site, win them over to project standards, and communicate the plan for the day, most especially the safety plan for the day. The agenda for this is give shoutouts, request feedback from workers, review the plan for the day in an abbreviated format, define safety focus for the day, review safety observations from the previous day's reflection walk, share what was found and ask if the previous day's items are closed out. If not, crew should fix these before going to work, drive them to closure. Address any owner items. Reiterate need for cleanliness and organization. Ask if anyone needs permits and then point them to the person, location to get them immediately after the huddle. For example, soil disturbance, deep excavation, hot work, crane. Review deliveries and strategy. Review training for the day. Address weather for the day. Encourage crew preparation huddles. Reinforce the need for PTPs. Read Death by Meeting, a leadership fable about solving the most painful problem in business by Patrick Lencioni. Become familiar with your standard meeting systems. Get training and help for how to run the meetings to create a meeting system on your project site, which will allow you to fully implement the first and last planner systems. If you do this, you will be able to remarkably run the project, plan the work, and communicate the plan to everyone on site. Step 41. Begin short interval scheduling. Originally, the outline of this book was going to include an entire description of the first and last planner systems, but most superintendents do not need detailed descriptions of these systems. Rather, they need to begin short interval scheduling to milestones. It may seem out of line with current lean practice and out of popularity with most, but the best practice for assistant superintendents and superintendents is to find a way to learn to schedule and communicate their schedule to the next milestone. Then, use the last planner system, engage in pull planning, make ready scheduling, look ahead schedules, weekly work plan creation, and the full implementation of day plans. But to begin, the short interval schedule has to be the first priority. We have seen superintendents and schedulers effectively use Excel in a Gantt chart format to sketch out their plan. Some choose various applications. Some do their planning on 3 or 6 week planning boards on the walls. Whatever the chosen method, it is important for the superintendent to get started. Quote, "For a superintendent, the key to scheduling is to get started. The scariest step in the process of learning scheduling is to dive in and make that first schedule. Get through it, get over it, and finish it. Everything after that gets remarkable." I remember hosting a builder boot camp or a superintendent boot camp for a number of people. The first question that we asked the team is whether or not they knew scheduling practices. Everyone in the room raised their hand in affirmation. Throughout the course, we learned very quickly that they not only did not know scheduling theory and best practice, but they also did not know how to use the tools. This is pretty common with all superintendents. As they began learning scheduling systems, there were 2 to 3 weeks in the process where none of them even engaged with the software. We discovered their apprehension to even make a start. However, with some very forceful motivation, they did so. Everything after that was rapid learning through a succession of exercises. Superintendents need to become familiar with short interval scheduling in a manner that is compliant with company standards, but most importantly, is easy for the superintendent to understand. First, learn scheduling as quickly as possible. Second, do it in a way that is most palatable to the superintendent in the learning cycle. We cannot get sidetracked by process, application, or format. The key is to visualize the schedule and to make progress quickly so that large amounts of information can be consumed, processed, written down on a schedule, and completed. A supervisor should not only learn scheduling, but should become addicted to the process and habit with best practices. Eventually, a superintendent must learn lean practices, the first and last planner system, and the ins and outs of CPM scheduling. For now, the key is to get started on scheduling. Decide on a portion of the project to begin scheduling, preferably within your scope of responsibility. Start breaking that down into actionable steps, listing the description of the activity, the duration, the start date, and the sequence with the other activities. You can do this on a whiteboard, on paper, on planning boards, in Excel, or in an application of your choice. Get through that first sequence and begin to visualize your personal approach and method to scheduling. The key to scheduling is listed in these steps. Go through the drawings page by page. List out and handwrite the activities that need to be completed to execute the work on that page. 2. Write down the duration behind each line item. 3. Complete your research through all the pages of the drawings that you are referencing. 4. Write down those sequences with their durations and descriptions on whatever medium you have chosen. 5. Once you have completed this activity, the next step is to put everything in sequence. All key sequences should be separated by a work breakdown structure. The work breakdown structure will be separate, different phases or scopes of the project. 6. Practice putting that information in from start to finish in a complete sequence on whatever medium you have chosen. 7. Finally, practice ways to communicate your schedule with trade partners in order to coordinate with them. You will experiment and redefine how you visualize scheduling. Learn to schedule and create your own success. You will be able to get ahead of any work on site and communicate the plan to everyone. There are no successful superintendents who do not know how to schedule. Step 42. Create your logistics map. Your logistics drawing cannot be just a map you create, post, and use one time. It is a strategic planning tool that will allow you to properly control your project. It should be intelligently designed, easy to follow, nice to look at, and kept up to date. Every good superintendent will utilize a system to control logistics in an intentional and remarkable way. Quote, "The key to production is not the area of work, but effective material supplies to those areas." I remember that we began using a logistics plan for day planning at a pharmacy project where I worked. On the day plan maps, we would identify where materials were to be staged, where work was taking place, and then sent that drawing to every worker in the field. Our forklift operator, crane operator, and foreman began using that map to control a site. It was so remarkable to take a stagnant plan and turn it into a daily planning tool. Plan the appropriate items and visually communicate to control logistics with the other leaders on the project site. You will want to plan for the following things at a minimum: area control, clear access ways, trailer position and organization, general site configuration and design, flow of deliveries, traffic patterns, pedestrian patterns, site security, new utility construction, equipment mobilization and demobilization, loading platforms, pumping, slick lines and placing booms, the hoist, the crane, equipment staging, staging locations, site signage. Get help when creating your daily logistics plan. If you do this, you will begin the planning of your terrain, which has been a habit throughout the centuries with the best generals in war. Determine the following: flow of construction, entrances to the job site. You really need 2 if possible. Trailer location. Always get this off-site when possible or out of the construction area. Trade partner offices. Dumpster location. Temporary restrooms. Keep them grouped together, not all spread out. Material laydown. Fire lane. Temp water and temp power. Parking lots. Temp fence. Site organization. Site signage. Emergency gathering points. Disaster planning. Emergency personnel access and planning. Step 43. Safety presence in the field. Assistant superintendents and superintendents must focus on having a safety presence in the field. When superintendents become project and senior superintendents, more of their time will be spent in the office and at headquarters, but for now, the key is to lead from the front, be in the field, and supervise with a safety presence in the field. Quote, "There must always be a safety presence in the field." I first learned about the concept of safety in the field because it was a focus for the company where I worked. We as a team took this seriously and would always ask each other the following question: is there someone covering safety presence in the field? We would ask this when going to lunch, heading off to meetings, or when we saw each other in the office. It was always a focus, and there was always someone in the field to keep people safe. Workers, trades, and foremen need partnership from the project management team in the field. There needs to be supervision and a second set of eyes when work is going on. It sets the tone if leaders are out there in the field with workers. If you do this, you will always be confident that work is proceeding safely in the field, and be confident that workers will go home safely. Step 44. Own the QC inspections. A superintendent owns quality control. This is something that is not delegated. Field engineers and craft foremen can help, but ultimately, quality is the role of a superintendent. There is a difference between superintendents who delegate quality control and the ones who will go out and finalize an inspection walk with trades or with field engineers to ensure that the work is proceeding in a proper manner. Assistant superintendents and superintendents need to ensure that they not only have a safety presence in the field, but they also have a quality presence in the field. Quote, superintendents do not delegate safety or quality. Every project we visit where self-perform is active on a project, there is a distinguishing approach between successful and unsuccessful projects. Successful projects are the ones where superintendents own self-perform, participate in quality checks, walk with inspectors, and ensure all documentation is complete. Superintendents on unsuccessful projects can be heard saying, "I delegated that," or "I told them," or "Aren't they supposed to be in charge of that themselves?" There's a lack of ownership which is dictated by the attitude of the superintendent, and those projects are always rampant with quality issues. A superintendent must be intimately engaged with the project from a quality and safety standpoint. Inspections should be completed by the superintendent every time. Paperwork should be checked by the superintendent daily. The superintendent should use the quality process espoused by the company to run work, not just as a side thought or ancillary system. First, a superintendent should learn the quality process used by the company as a method to manage the project. Second, an assistant superintendent or superintendent should begin working with everyone on site performing inspections and walk with all city inspectors during inspection walks. If you do this, you will have a quality project. You will set the tone, people will know how important it is to you, and everyone will follow your attitude. It is impossible to communicate a high urgency and high sense of care for quality when it is delegated with a low level of care. People care about quality when the superintendents do. Step 45. Line out your foreman and craft support. As the superintendent, you must lead everyone on the project, including the foremen who work for the trade partners. They are employees of different companies, but they work for you on the project. You must have enough influence with them to teach them, line them out, guide them, and be able to provide feedback and coaching on a regular basis. Quote, your foremen on site work for you, even if they have another company name on their card. Line them out. I remember a story about concrete foremen who were not producing on a large-scale structure. The company did not know how to correct the situation, so the project superintendents scheduled a task force meeting and gathered them daily for instruction to guide them through the next milestone on the project. They began performing, and eventually a qualified superintendent came to lead them. If they had looked at them as a separate entity, they would have failed, but they took them under their wing, provided direction, and they hit their date. Expect certain things from your foreman. Lead them, teach them, and line them out continuously. Here is a brief list of foreman expectations. Locate in the job site trailers or on-site. Bring materials to the site just in time. Enforce company safety rules from the safety manual. Keep crew operations clean and organized 100% of the time. Do not wait until the end of the day. Do not let materials touch the ground, either new materials or trash. Spend time every morning teaching about the 8 wastes, 5S'ing, and lean concepts. Allow crews time every morning to get their day set up, cleaned, and organized. Participate as a project team member in the weekly meeting system and at huddles. Encourage your crews to come up with lean improvement ideas. Maintain parking for your company and ensure there is no impact to the customer. Post material deliveries for equipment and supplies in a visible location for the entire team to see. All deliveries will be scheduled per job site rules. Every foreman supervising in the field will attend a pre-construction meeting prior to the feature of work and prepare for the meeting by reading all associated plans, specifications, and shop drawings. Product of this review will be a trade-provided checklist of critical quality items pertaining to the installation. If the foreman or superintendent do not come prepared, the meeting will be summarily canceled and rescheduled as soon as a commitment can be made to properly research the scope. Contractors will participate in phase planning sessions to develop the overall schedule to a level 4 schedule. If you use all the foremen on site to run the project, you will be better enabled as a leader and better able to control the project. Step 46. Make work fun. Superintendents need to find a way to create remarkable environments that are fun. If this can be done, you will have people working at 100% capacity. Quote, "Work can be fun." I remember a project where foreman huddles were made into a format where people could enjoy themselves. People would crack jokes and sometimes the super would play funny videos, but there would always be something to make the people enjoy coming to the meeting. The team began to include more and more practices that made the meeting fun. They became so effective that the owner began flying other contractors from other projects to the site to see how the meeting should be run on a successful project. People work best when they enjoy coming to work. An unhealthy work environment is one where productivity is low. If you can create an environment with camaraderie and meetings that are engaging and fun, complete with music, decorations, games, monthly barbecues, and laughter, you can turn your project from work to an addiction. Make a fun project site. Implement the steps below and see where you can take it. Work can be fun when people find their work fulfilling. They feel like they are actually accomplishing something. Feel appreciated. Somebody took the time to say thank you or good job. Feel they can be themselves and express their personalities. Feel they are valued for their minds, not just doing mindless work. Like their coworkers, including their boss. Working with nice people is a lot better than working with unfriendly people. Know their jobs are valued by the company. Fulfillment comes from within, but people also need to know that the company and the boss value the job. Believe in the mission of their company and their job. Feel they are treated with respect. Have a true sense of ownership in the company and its mission. It is always more fun to feel like an owner than an employee. Do not have to check their values at the door. Most people would prefer to work in an environment of integrity where they are not asked to do anything contrary to their values. Celebrate success. People like to celebrate victories, and they like to be recognized when they have helped accomplish something. Even if they personally had nothing to do with it, a success for the company or department should be a cause for celebration. Are not liquidated for making a mistake. Thomas Edison once said man would never fly. People make mistakes. Are not turned into scapegoats when something goes wrong. Sometimes this takes a leader with broad shoulders who will take some heat rather than looking for somebody to blame. Share credit. Sometimes this takes a leader whose ego does not require the spotlight. Draw their self-esteem from what other people think of their job. It helps when friends and family think the job and the company are really cool. Don't underestimate this one. This list originated from the book Do the Right Thing by James F. Parker. It has been modified for construction. If you can make work fun, then you will live a remarkable life and enjoy coming to work. Meetings will be fun, and you will enjoy the people with whom you work. Step 47. Learn the first and last planner system. In addition to short interval scheduling, it is also important that you begin immediately learning the first and last planner systems. The first planner system is the schedule from which budgets are made and project deadlines are established with milestones. The first planners on the project, or the first people in the planning cycle, use this system to plan the project with the tact plan and master schedule. The last planner system is aptly named for the last planners or foremen in the cycle and is designed to take milestones from the first planner system, pull plan to them, and create collaborative networks of commitments in order to drive weekly and daily production work. This system is graded by what is called the PPC, or percent plan complete. It will be important for you to begin learning these systems from your company, industry resources, and/or from hands-on training like the superintendent boot camps offered by Elevate Construction. Below is a brief description of each step. First, planner system tools. Establish your TACT plan. The TACT plan is the overall plan for the project at its highest level and outside of your CPM software. It shows the network of phases and the flow with which you will build the project. It is important to establish your TACT plan first, so you know the overall plan and focus on when you should do the work rather than how soon you can do it. This will help identify the needed project duration and easily collaborate with others and ensure you have a general plan as early as schematic design. Establish your master schedule. Your master schedule is the schedule that controls all other schedules and databases. This is usually done in a CPM software using the critical path method. This schedule is your contractual schedule and the one that you use to track progress with owners and trade partners in the legal sense. It will be important for you to detail the schedule to the proper level with your project team and scheduler, using as many or as few options that your CPM software is capable. For example, enterprise management, resources, cost loading and S-curves, EVM, SPI. Establish your visual sequence maps. Every project schedule must have sequence maps. Without sequence maps, there is no schedule, even if you have the CPM schedule to go with it. You can only understand the master schedule with the right sequence maps. You should identify sequence maps for foundations, superstructure, interiors, finishes, exterior, and commissioning. It is best to have these built into the design breakouts to match the plan and design. Begin phase planning. Phase planning means that you are planning general phases of the project up and to certain milestones. This can be done in many forms, including pull planning. It will be important for you to learn how to plan phases of the project so that you can create make-ready schedules and have trade partners deliver information, equipment, manpower, and materials to the project at the appropriate date. The closer you are to the activity in question, the more detailed and accurate the planning should be. Last, planner tools. Utilize pull planning. Pull planning is a collaborative system in which you, along with trade partners, plan from the milestones backwards and make mutual commitments in a sequence of work. This form of planning allows everyone to see, know, and to act as a group. Produce look-ahead schedules. Look-ahead schedules can be very effective in planning work and in communicating to trades upcoming work in the next short interval. Begin weekly work planning. Weekly work planning is part of the last planner system and is a collaborative process where trade partners collectively make commitments for the plan that will be executed the next week. Begin day planning. Day planning is a visual exercise used to plan out the next day with all foremen on site according to the weekly work plan. Know your production rates and track daily. Every plan should also be filled with the right production information so crews know how much of a certain product they need to produce that day depending on crew size to achieve the weekly work plan. Identify winning daily. Every contractor and worker on site should know what winning looks like daily. The crew should have the plan communicated to them on a daily basis and be told how they did the next day so that they can make adjustments to improve. This short summary of activities for the first and last planner systems is only a brief preview of the systems themselves. This information is covered in detail in boot camps and in other industry resource training. Search out the training that is right for you and begin now to integrate it into your personal workflow. If you do this, you will be a master builder, adept at lean principles, and be able to run and schedule the most remarkable projects in the world. Step 48. Press the attack with cleanliness. Once you think you've gone far enough with safety, take it another step further. Safety and cleanliness thrive when you strive for perfection in both systems. You must press the attack with cleanliness and not turn back. You are looking for floors and staging areas that are as clean as a manufacturing facility. It can be done, and it must be done if you want to have the ability to operationally control anything else in your projects. Quote, cleanliness, organization, and the right sizing of inventory buffers are the best indicators of a project's health and stability. The key for implementing cleanliness is to raise the mental set point of the team. I remember a project where supervisors said they wanted to have a clean and organized site. I would do walks on Wednesdays, take observations through the project communication system, and ask for certain things to be cleaned up. I would be very proactive in correcting issues with our self-performed crews, and I expected perfection. After about 2 months, the project team became addicted to the system. I had always wondered if you could scale cleanliness expectations to other teams, and I found the answer is yes. They began using the same communication system to hold everybody accountable on the project site, and after 3 weeks, I was no longer needed to sustain the system. I have been gone for short and long durations from the project site, and if you return there today, you will find one of the most remarkably clean projects in the state. What should we remember on every project? Every task, project, and effort starts with being clean and organized. This is always a constant. Taking care of this for others is masking waste. We need to expect and enforce cleanliness and organization on every project. Why do we do it? Safety for trips, falls, and falling objects. Customer satisfaction. The way we care for cleanliness and organization sets a standard for all other work on site. It is a key indicator for crew disorganization. If a crew is messy, they have dysfunctional leadership and routines. You see quality problems. You can see safety problems. Cleanliness forces workers to improve their work habits. It indicates whether the GC has control of the site. It indicates morale. Unclean jobs are typically jobs that are in trouble. An unclean job typically does not finish on time or finish well. The level of cleanliness is an indicator of the level of care paid to costs, quality, safety, production, and all other systems. A clean site is a stable site. Stable sites and systems are the only environments where improvements and human respect can flourish. How do we do it? Decide there will never be a composite cleanup crew or paid laborers on site. Get team buy-in about enforcing a clean site. Shut down crews if their cleanliness is not perfect. Why do I say perfect? Because a little mess snowballs into a big one, and then habits cannot be controlled. If perfect is the standard, then the site will be clean. Perfect will have to do. The PM, super, and team have to care deeply about cleanliness philosophically and practically. They need to shut down crews for the first 6 weeks until it is a project habit. Seeing top leadership pick up trash and clean up is the most powerful example on site. Preach about it daily in the morning huddles. Take site walks, take pictures, and mention observations the next morning. Enforce, enforce, enforce. Everyone on site must set the example and enforce the policy. The orientation should explain the approach to everyone. Daily safety huddles should remind people and train them on standards. Hold the line, don't budge. Be strict, calm trade partners, and in weeks the site will uphold the standard without a lot of oversight. Every new wave of contractors will have to be trained. If you decide to press the attack with cleanliness on your site, you will never turn back. You will always run clean projects, win over inspectors, delight your customers, and be promoted for the good clean work you do on site. How you do one thing is how you do everything, and cleanliness will literally affect every other part of your project and your career. Step 49. Begin using zero tolerance. Zero tolerance systems on site work everywhere we try them. The key is to not tolerate bad behaviors on site and to keep people safe and making money. The following brief outline will demonstrate how this is most effectively done on the project site. Quote, the culture of any organization is shaped by the worst behavior the leader is willing to tolerate. Every time we try zero tolerance, it works. The key is to establish common standards, orient everyone to the standards, and decide as a team on a collective form of consequences. After that, it works only if every member of the team is committed to implementing and enforcing the rules. For the first couple of days, People will be upset, and you will have to remove people from the project site. After that, everyone will get used to the system as long as you are consistent. After approximately 6 weeks of effort, and only then, will the trade partners begin to notice the difference in safety and advocate for the system. What should we remember on every project? Respect for people. That's it. That's why we do everything. We take care of the customer because we respect them, their staff, and their end users. We take care of our people because we respect them. We treat trades well because we respect them. We are safe because we respect our people and their families. We provide adequate facilities, bathrooms, lunchrooms, and treat people fairly because we respect them. We keep perfectly clean job sites because we respect the productivity of other trades. We bring materials on time and just in time because we respect other trades. We do not tolerate safety violations because we respect people's lives and the well-being of their families. Why do we do it? Our contracts say we should. OSHA requires us to educate and control the safety on site. Trade partners expect us to keep people safe and enable their productivity. We have the responsibility of making sure everyone on site knows expectations and follows them. Each trade partner has their own rules for safety, which we need to respect. It's the right thing to do. If it's wrong, why would we tolerate it? If we believe everyone has equal opportunity, reasonable intelligence, and the ability to work on our sites, they can follow the rules. When we don't enforce the rules, we are effectively saying, we don't care, you can't, won't, and are not intellectually able to follow the rules because you are not as good as me. That is not a respectful or true message. How do we do it? Decide on zero tolerance items. Any violation of safety that is contrary to the company's standards, orientation, and OSHA 10 training. Anything that is indicative of bad behavior, bad attitudes, not paying attention, or not being trained for the task. Anything that is high risk, like ladder use, electrical, fall protection, confined space, excavations, etc. If it is an honest mistake that could not have been prevented by being mentally present, having a good attitude, and typical training, I would remind them. Starting with safety glasses is my preference. It has a psychological effect. It sets the standard of behavior on site. If someone will not wear their safety glasses, they will not wear their fall protection properly. The important standards will be kept like the minimum standards are kept. It is a mental and behavioral trigger. Enforcement of on-time deliveries, organization, just-in-time deliveries and intentional staging of materials, perfect cleanliness, not covering or leaving non-quality work. Everyone on site must set the example and enforce the policy. The orientation should explain the approach to everyone. Daily safety huddles should remind people and train them on standards. If someone is observed, you say to them, because I care about your safety, we need to give you time to focus, retrain, or plan the work. So let's have you go home for the day and you can come back tomorrow for orientation, unless it is a major violation. Send an email to that person's company explaining why that person was allowed to go home for their own safety and the benefit of their family. Ask that the person is retrained and offer for them to come back through orientation, if not a major violation. Log the name and violation on a log to track repeat offenders or folks who cannot come back. If it is minor, they come back through orientation. If they do it again, they cannot come back. If it is a serious violation that could have killed them, they cannot come back. Hold the line. Don't budge. Be strict. Calm trade partners. And in a few weeks, the site will uphold the standard without a lot of oversight. Every new wave of contractors will have to be trained. If you implement zero tolerance on site, you can have a remarkably well-run project. You will have fewer safety incidents and have less need for babysitting in the field.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.